These are 1-ton Ford truck brake drums, and they work pretty good for a base. If they're a little bit light, you can always flip them over and fill them full of concrete, add about another 25 pounds to them. But they work real well. They're pretty solid. So I'm going to use this, put a little angle iron across here with 2 ears up and a 3/4 inch hole and an axle and a 2-inch pipe for a roller. I'm going to make 2 of them. They're going to be pretty small. I think they'll be, the rollers I think will be 5 inches, and that's really bigger than anything I cut off in my saw. This is a rigid power head. It's a pipe threading tool for threading pipe, and it works great for cutting off pipe. Don't make any dust. This is going to go out in the saw shed too. I'm going to get my wife to make a cover over for it. The oiler on this doesn't seem to work, but I've not torn into that yet to see if I can fix it. 2-inch pipe's as big a material as it will handle. So I had to cut that swedge off the end. Slide that through there, and then there's another chuck back here. I'll show you that, how that works. You just turn it and the jaws open up. Okay, so now we're wide open. Slide that pipe through. Get up here where we want to be. We're going to cut this off to square, to get a square to start with, and one probably needs a little WD-40 on this. So I wanted to get you close enough to see how this works. So this is still a little loose, but these jaws, you turn them, and then it's got a little hammer wrench, and that locks it down in the vise. And the pipe cutter is a wheel, so you can get it kind of where you want it. And you should have these bottom guide wheels should be fully up on the pipe to cut a square. So first we'll do is we're going to cut that off, and it's got a little foot pedal down here. And that's forward and reverse. You can go backwards too. So anyway, here we go. We're going to get that tight and then let go of it so there's no torque on it, and we're going to run it. Maybe. That cuts that off pretty good. It leaves a sharp burr around that. Everything was steel sharp, it always is. There's a tool here to take care of that. I'll show you how that works. So this goes in and we can slide that up. This is deburring. It's going to take that burr off the inside of the pipe. Get that out of the way. Since we can cut pretty accurate with this, we have to measure it pretty accurate. We'll mark it with a pencil. So there is it's a little bit of a kind of a taper on there, which is fine. So we're going to go 5 inches exactly right there. We're just going to cut 2 of these, but every pipe fitter I know can't hear nothing. I just broke my wheel. And that's the cutting with that, and I wasn't pushing very hard. So I'll show you how to get that out of there. Okay, there. See what that wheel did? That drill stem is so hard it broke that hard wheel, and then the course of the chunks of the wheel that's in there, or in the pipe, caused it just to get worse and worse as it rolled. So that's one of the problems of working with drill steel. It's got hard chunks in it. It's hard to deal with. So a cutoff saw works best for cutting it off, but I was trying to get it straight, and may not pay. I might end up doing it with a cutoff wheel. So if I was going to grind a lot of these, I'd hook my shop back up to this, catch some of that dust. Although the fan moves a lot of it out, you still get a little bit. I'm going to let this fan run for about 10 more minutes. Let it clear out the dust in here. See how square these were? Oh, that's good. So check square on a pipe, check it two ways. Across this way and across that way. That's good. I know it's dark, you might not be able to see that, but so anytime we weld, ventilation's a good thing, but today it's especially good. These are galvanized washers, zinc coated. They'll produce a poisonous gas when they're welded, and something you don't want to breathe if you can help it. I just wanted to show you this. These bottles look like they're empty. This is a Victor flow meter, and it's usually set about 20, I think that's 20 cubic feet per hour. I'm not sure, it might say up there. Anyway, this gauge is just barely reading about 100 pounds. So you think, wow, I'm almost empty. We'll weld a little bit and then we'll come back and look at it. Quick work of that. So if we were going to leave that weld and try to make it look smoother, it'd be best to grind the tacks off, get them smooth. The smoother your tacks are when you're welding, the better your weld will look. I mean, that doesn't look horrible, but I'm going to grind most of that off anyway when it cools off. Now let's go see what that gas valve did on that bottle. So I didn't do nothing but start welding with it, but it went from about 100 pounds up to about 1300 psi. Let me get a little leveler there and we'll look. If you can see that. So the reason why, when the CO2 settles, it kind of absorbs the argon and the pressure goes down to about 100. But after you start pulling on it, it actually, for lack of a better word, it starts boiling to reach its vapor pressure. And when you excite it, it kind of comes alive. So I bet quite a few people hauled full bottles back to the welding shop because they said, hey, we're out. Just remember that. Don't give up on your bottle until you see it go plumb down to zero after you've been using it. Don't be alarmed when that's down. That bigger grinder allowed me to kind of get that whole surface at one time. That's what I was shooting for. So that's not a 7.5 inch grinder. That's a 9-inch grinder. I don't even think you make them anymore, but they're awesome. A lot of power. So I think that'll work. I'll probably take it in on the belt sander, just chamfer that a little bit. I could chuck those up in the lathe and turn them, but it's not worth the time. I just do it like this. That's going to weld on top of the pipe, and then I'll put 2 ears up. I wanted to measure how tall those ears need to be. I wanted to give that about a 1/4 of gap. So I'll make them 3.5 and then take that 1/2 inch and bow it down. You see what I'm doing here? I got this a little bit out past the vise and everything down. And I've checked it for square. It's not, don't show really too square right there. Let's see if we can work on that a little. Okay, that's pretty square. Now, and mill grade steel isn't as square as it used to be over the years, so I'll tack this side, and then without taking it out of the vise, I'll tack this side, and that'll hold those two sides parallel or square with each other while we do the drill. I just did down the corners. That's enough to hold it. Doesn't get in the way, and I was just using that for a shim. Just a constant pressure, not hard. And I have blocks underneath the bottom to keep it from drilling into my vise, like right there. Happen. You can feel it about go through it, it changes how it feels. Okay, now we're gonna change bits 3/4 and get some cutting oil. For that, we're gonna have to lower this table a little bit. Let me go find a bit. Try that. Better. see what we got here. It's going to be a little warm. Not bad. Yeah. Pretty nice hole through there. Okay. There. They all come apart. I should probably just touch them up a little bit on the belt sander, and there'll be a little bit of a ridge by where the drill bit went through, so we'll knock that off. Okay, and then through the pipe. Okay. And another spacer. And that. Okay. Do that. So, should just barely fit on the corners. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. What I want to do is, I want to use that natural corner to weld on. I'm going to tighten that up just a hair. Okay, there. Then I'm going to take another piece of 1/4 inch, about 3/4 long, and arch it, and I'm going to weld it on right here. But I'll do that afterwards. So I think that looks pretty good. Let's tack it and see how it goes. Let's see if we can reach in there and tack that. Move a little bit. Good, lots of little tack. Stay where it's at. Okay, now I want to show you. So it's got a little bit of a hangover right there, and that's what I want to fill with weld. But before I weld that, because I'm going to want to open that up, I'm going to reach in and tack this a little bit more on the inside first, and then I'll weld all of that, and then come back and may or may not weld anymore. It'll be plenty strong enough to hold it. Okay, let's see what we got here. So the shims I put in there, that's why. Oh, they come out. Got an axle. This isn't the axle we're actually going to use. This one's been softened or annealed. I'm going to use one that aren't annealed. There we go. There. Now, I can leave them a little bit shy and weld that, and I have a roller. And it rolls pretty good. I think that'll be fine. And I was curious about how close it'll be. It's within, I would say, 3 or 4 thousandths on a roll. I think that's good. Lucked out on that. Oh, that's sweet. Go. Okay, go. Back up. We're good. And reach the wire. Little back. They probably got that set till it cools, but we don't have time for that. Perfect. Just a little bit of slop. That's what you want. You don't want everything so tight you have to fight it all the way. So welded there, welded there, welded there. And that's almost 100% weld on that corner, so that's pretty strong. I'm not going to bend that. So it's rough this way a little bit. I don't think it matters. But I want to be square. Set down to cool. Good. Still got a little bit of push when we attack. Here's one of the rollers. It turned out really well. I'm happy with it. I think it'll work for a material handler. It rolls the back and forth pretty effortlessly. That's the axle I made. So again, this is typically 4140 sucker rod. It's solid. And our roller, just with washers welded in the end of the pipe. Clamped it until I don't want it tight, but I want it pretty close. So if you can see the axle, I'm going to zoom it in just here, has got a little indentation in here, so I can weld that. It won't bump out. I'm just going to fill that hole with weld. That'll plenty strong to hold the axle. There. Now let's go put that in. There. Sure, this isn't the one we want. We want this one, but I'm going to mark this in at 34, and then an inch and a half less for the angle iron, so 32.5 inches. Okay, 32.5 inches. You'll see why here in a second. Okay. This won't be right off the bat. We'll have to tap it around a little bit, but because there's only one person to hold the clamp. Okay. So first I'll start with my marks, then I'll see if I'm level. So the bubble's a hair high there. It's been a while since I used that level, so if you turn it around and see if the level reads the same, it does. I'm going to tap this end down. I'm going to bring this into decision. Okay, that's pretty good. So my angle iron will set on that and come out. Then I'll level it out here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to see how that fits, which is about like that. And I'm going to measure this. 21 3/16. I'm going to call that 21 1/4. So I'm going to square this up and weld a piece on the end 21 1/4, and when I stick that on there, it will hold it square, and then all I have to do is level it up before I tack it. That'll work good. Well, not too much. Let's take a dry run. The 3/4 all thread will hold the plate that the table sets on, and it will be adjustable up and down that little bit. I'll probably take a brace from here down to the pipe once I get this tacked up. Seen me weld downhill. I don't do that very often. But it was already red hot and it was clean, so there's reasons why. Pretty close. But we're shooting for perfection. Not that it matters. We're adjustable anyway. Perfect. That one's perfect. Like the lights are working. Well, $600 later, we got a load of steel. See if we can get that off the trailer. This is for some shelves. One more. This is a tabletop for the chop saw. Okay, remember this. So I needed a 24 by 24 drop, and the steel shop had this. It's quarter thick, 29 by 29. It's a little different than what I wanted, but I'll cut it down a little bit. It's going to get cut down a little, and then on this side of it is going to be a roller table. So we'll be able to take steel off this rack, set on the roller, run it through the saw, be another short roller table on the right side. Looks like them rollers work great. A little noisy, but sure makes moving the steel easy for getting your measurements. Looks like the pipe rollers are going to work great. This is going to conclude episode 5. We have our steel all here for the rest of the build. The only thing we'll need to go to town for after this is the actual sheet metal that covers the shop. So there'll be a lot of welding when we put this together, and you'll see how I'm going to do it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share. Have a great day.